What if I told you that a map from 1513 shows a part of the world that wasn't officially discovered for another 300 years? And what if that same map depicted that landmass free of ice? This isn't the plot of a fantasy novel, but a real historical artifact. In 1929, a fragment of a map drawn on gazelle skin was rediscovered in a dusty corner of Istanbul's Topkapi Palace. It was created by a famed Ottoman admiral, and on it, just below the known world, is a strip of land that has fueled one of history's most fascinating mysteries. For decades, researchers, authors, and armchair historians have claimed this isn't just any land mass. They say it is Antarctica, but depicted in a way that should be impossible. A detailed, ice-free coastline mapped thousands of years before it froze over. How could a 16th century mariner know what a continent looks like beneath miles of solid ice? And if he didn't discover it himself, then who did? The answer might force us to question everything we think we know about the past. Welcome back to Zainthra, Section 1, The Admiral and His Sources. To understand the map, we first have to understand the man who made it. His name was Ahmed Muhyiddin Piri, better known by his title Piri Reis, or Captain Piri. He was no anonymous monk scratching lines in a forgotten monastery. Piri Reis was a celebrated admiral in the Ottoman Navy, an experienced navigator, a geographer, and a meticulous cartographer who spent his life on the seas. When he compiled his world map in 1513, he wasn't just guessing. He was a scholar. On the map itself, Piri Reis left detailed notes, and he was surprisingly transparent about his research methods. He claimed to have used about 20 different source maps. This library of sources was incredibly diverse. It included 8 Ptolemaic maps, based on the knowledge of the 2nd century Greek geographer Ptolemy. It also contained 4 contemporary Portuguese maps, likely captured during naval conflicts, and it featured an Arabic map of India. But the most intriguing source he cited was a map made by Christopher Columbus showing the Western Lands. He acquired this map from a Spanish sailor who had joined Columbus on his first 3 voyages. This makes the Piri Reis map a priceless historical document, as it preserves cartographic information from a lost Columbus map that we would otherwise not have. Piri Reis was, in effect, a master compiler. He was taking the best and most up-to-date geographical data available to him, from ancient Greek sources to the new discoveries of the Age of Exploration, and synthesizing it all into a single, magnificent world chart. The fragment that survives, about 1/3 of the original map, shows a surprisingly detailed depiction of Europe, North Africa, and Brazil. For its time, it was a spectacular achievement. But it's not the known world that makes this map so controversial. It's the unknown world at the very edge of the parchment. Section 2. The Antarctic Anomaly. At the bottom of the map, curving eastward from the coast of South America, is a continuous landmass. For decades after its rediscovery, this feature was noted, but largely ignored. Then, in the mid-20th century, a new and radical interpretation emerged. What if this wasn't just a hypothetical sketch of an unknown southern land? What if this was Antarctica? The idea alone is stunning. Europeans first sighted Antarctica in 1820, nearly 300 years after Piri Reis created his map. For a 16th century cartographer to have any knowledge of its existence would be a major historical anomaly. But the theory goes deeper, and this is where it transforms from a historical puzzle into an earth-shattering mystery. Proponents of this theory don't just claim that Piri Reis drew Antarctica. They claim he drew its coastline, the actual land, free of the immense ice sheet that covers it today. This is the central anomaly that has captivated so many. The map doesn't show a vague, icy blob. It shows what appear to be bays, inlets, and a distinct shoreline. Notes on the map describe the region as being warm and inhabited by large snakes. This, of course, sounds nothing like the barren, frozen wasteland we know today. So if Piri Reis didn't see Antarctica himself, and he certainly didn't see it without its ice, how did this information end up on his map? This question opens the door to a theory that points to a forgotten chapter of human history. Section 3, the theory of a lost civilization. The man who truly ignited the firestorm around the Piri Reis map was a college professor named Charles Hapgood. In his 1965 book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, Hapgood and his students at the University of New Hampshire conducted an exhaustive analysis of the map. What they proposed was nothing short of revolutionary. Hapgood argued that the southern landmass on the Piri Reis map was indeed Antarctica, and that its depiction was so accurate it could have only been mapped from the air. More importantly, he claimed it showed the coastline of Queen Maud Land as it looked under the ice. His proof came from a surprising source. He compared the map to the subglacial topography revealed by a 1949 Norwegian-British-Swedish seismic survey. This expedition had used modern technology to send sound waves through the ice and chart the hidden continent below. Hapgood claimed the results showed a stunning correspondence with the coastline drawn by Piri Reis centuries earlier. But how could this be possible? According to geologists, Antarctica has been continuously covered by a massive ice sheet for millions of years. Hapgood had an answer for this too. He championed a controversial geological theory called Earth crust displacement. He proposed that around 9,500 BCE, the entire outer crust of the Earth shifted, moving Antarctica from a more temperate climate into the polar circle, where it subsequently froze over. Therefore, the map could not have been drawn from contemporary knowledge in 1513. It had to be a copy of a copy of a copy, originating thousands of years earlier, in a pre-Ice Age. Hapgood further theorized that an advanced but completely unknown global seafaring civilization existed during the last Ice Age. This lost civilization, he argued, possessed technology and knowledge far beyond its contemporaries. They charted the entire globe with unparalleled accuracy, including Antarctica when its shores were still green and accessible. But their civilization was wiped out by the cataclysmic end of the Ice Age, and their knowledge survived only in fragments, passed down through millennia, until a small piece of it landed in the hands of Piri Reis. This narrative has since been championed by authors like Graham Hancock, who see the map as definitive proof of a lost, highly advanced ancient civilization. It's a mind-bending theory. The idea that a whole chapter of human history, complete with master navigators and global maps, was lost to the sands of time is both terrifying and exhilarating. It challenges the very foundation of our historical timeline. We dive deep into theories just like this one on this channel. So, if you're interested in the hidden corners of history, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation. Section 4, the scientific verdict. The story of a lost Ice Age civilization that mapped Antarctica is a compelling tale. But is it true? When we move away from speculative theory and toward hard science and historical analysis, a very different picture begins to emerge. The overwhelming consensus among geologists, cartographers, and historians is that the Antarctica hypothesis is a discredited 20th century theory. First, let's look at the geology. Ice core data provides a detailed climate record going back millions of years. This data shows that Antarctica has been continuously covered in ice for more than 10 million years. The idea that it was partially ice-free as recently as 4000 BCE, a date Hapgood mistakenly thought was possible, is flatly contradicted by overwhelming scientific evidence. Hapgood's theory of a sudden and violent crustal shift in 9500 BCE is also not supported by any geological data. So what about the comparison to the subglacial coastline? Subsequent studies, which had access to far more complete data than the limited 1949 survey, have found no significant similarity between the map and the subglacial coast of Antarctica. Geologists point out that Hapgood's analysis was deeply flawed. For one, the 1949 seismic survey he used as his key evidence was extremely limited. It could not have measured even 1% of the area depicted on the map. Furthermore, Hapgood's method failed to account for a key geological process called isostatic rebound, the way the Earth's crust slowly rises after the weight of a massive ice sheet is removed. A truly ice-free Antarctica would have a different shape than the land currently pressed down by the ice. The match Hapgood found was the result of wishful interpretation of limited data. If it's not Antarctica, then what is it? The most widely accepted explanation is far less sensational but much more plausible. Historians and cartographers argue that the southern landmass is actually a distorted depiction of the South American coastline. In the 16th century, maps were often compiled from the charts of different sailors, leading to errors in scale and orientation. It's likely that Piri Reis simply ran out of room on the gazelle skin and bent the South American coast eastward. In fact, there is no written or historical evidence to suggest that any of Piri Reis's sources contained information on any land south of modern-day Brazil. The warm weather and snakes, mentioned in the map's notes, are also perfectly consistent with Brazil, home to anacondas and boa constrictors, not a temperate Antarctica. Another possibility is that the land represents Terra Australis Incognita, or the unknown southern land, a mythical continent that geographers since ancient Greece theorized must exist in the south to balance the lands of the northern hemisphere. So we are left with two competing stories. One is a thrilling epic of a lost civilization, advanced technology, and a catastrophe that erased a chapter of human history, leaving only a mysterious map as its witness. The other is a more sober tale of a brilliant 16th century admiral working diligently with the best, yet imperfect information he had, combining ancient theories and new discoveries into a single document. There's no denying the appeal of the first story. It speaks to our deep fascination with the unknown and the idea that we are not the pinnacle of history, but perhaps just the heirs to a forgotten legacy. And while the theories of Hapgood and Hancock have been largely dismissed by mainstream science, they have served a valuable purpose in forcing us to question our assumptions and look at history with a more critical eye. However, the evidence overwhelmingly points toward the second story. The Piri Reis map is not the key to a lost world, but a magnificent artifact of its own time, a testament to the skill, knowledge, and intellectual curiosity of Piri Reis and the age of discovery in which he lived. It doesn't show an impossible, ice-free Antarctica. Instead, it shows us something just as fascinating, a glimpse into the 16th century mind grappling with the limits of the known world and dreaming of what lay beyond. The mystery isn't what's on the map, but how we choose to see it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you'll like and share this video. Thank you for all of your supportive comments. See you in the next incredible video.